So hello everybody, welcome to Live with Prima. It's Miranda here with you today, and we are going to be creating this. Let me pan up just for 1 second, just so I can get the entire birdhouse in frame and show you all of the nice details. Hopefully my camera will pick up on that texture there, because there is a lot of yummy texture going on with the Finnabair art mediums with Prima. They are gorgeous. And then inside as well. So just to give you an overview really quickly, we're going to be doing lots of fussy cutting. I'm going to be using the Butterfly collection from Jody Lee. It is so pretty. And this little crown, you can take that off, and it's super easy to create. I will show you all how to make one of those as well. Really, really easy, so it doesn't have to come on there. Alicia was censored. I don't know what you said, but thank you. Okay, so I'm going to move this one out of the way, and we will get started on the birdhouse. Really quickly, before I forget, I do have a couple of announcements to make. The next show coming up Thursday is Miss Bona. She will be on here. She'll be sharing her gift tags and bags using the new Julie Nutting tags and the Butterfly collection as well. The show's on Thursday, April 23rd, 6:30 p.m. Pacific time, right here on the Prima Ustream channel. Also, Art Venture Canada is coming up September 5th and the 6th. It's filling up fast. For details, visit primamarketinginc.com and click on the Art Venture tab on our homepage. Okay, Carrie, I am noticing right now that I don't think I have brought my phone with me. Give me 1 second, y'all, just in case Carrie needs to. Yep, I do have it. Okay, I lied. I do have my phone. Okay. So let's get started, ladies. We're going to go ahead and start on all of the mediums so they can be drying while we're doing all of our paper cutting and everything. If anybody's having problems with Ustream, I heard it was being very glitchy lately, so I apologize. I tested it beforehand and it was working fine on my end, so I apologize if there's any issues. So like I said, we're going to be using the Butterfly collection and the Finnabair Altered Birdhouse. And the product number for that is item number 961336, and it's the Altered Metal Frame Birdhouse from Finnabair. And I'm saving these tags to do something with. Okay, so what I did to prep this, just for time purposes, is I went ahead and did one side of the wood, just because, I mean, that's going to be redundant, me cutting strips of paper and gluing it on there. So I went ahead and did one side, and then I'll do the other one with you all. And then to prep the inside of it, all I did was use some distress paint, and the color was Seedless Preserves, and it matches the Butterfly collection very, very well. And all I did is I did like the little edges here, and then kind of in the corners and on the anywhere where the paper might fall short and it might show, and then up inside of the roof area, because I wasn't going to try to cover that with paper. So initially I didn't want to really paint this entire birdhouse because it's so pretty as it is, but to match the Butterfly collection we do have to alter it a bit. Okay, so as you can see, on this side, I went ahead and did a little bit of the texturing already, and I will show you on the other side all of the steps. But like I said, it does take a while for the crackle paint to dry. So I even did the top half here. So from here down, I'll be showing you all the techniques I used on this. And then after it dries, we'll be coloring it, and that's when it gets the really antique look. So to be doing this technique, we're going to be using the Finnabair Art Extravagance pastes. I'm using the Platinum Crackle texture paste, and that is item number 961527. I'm going to be using the Clear Crackle on top of that one, and that item number is 961541. And then the 3D Matte Gel, which is 961398. And then the other two things from her line, we're going to be using the micro beads. I'm using the silver ones. You could really use any color because we're going to be going over it with alcohol ink, so it'll kind of get covered up anyway. This one is 962562. I love these micro beads. And then my favorite, the gold mica flakes. They are just so fun to use. And that item number is 961756. Okay, so this is what we're going to use to create our textured roof. So the first step that I did to the entire birdhouse was I used some clear gesso and went over the entire thing, because the first time I tried to do this to the roof, I did a layer of crackle paint and it came right off. So you're going to want to prime it because it's metal, and if you don't, it's going to kind of flake off. So I pretty much primed my entire metal birdhouse just so that everything has something to tack to. So just going in with clear gesso. I've already given it one coat. I'm just going to give it one more light coat of clear gesso. And like I said, I went over everything with this clear gesso. And don't make fun of me, y'all, but I'm out of paper towels. So if you see me using toilet paper, that's because I'm out of paper towels and I didn't have time to run to the store. Okay, so after you do that, I also did a layer of the 3D matte gel. Hello, Julianne. Hello, Courtney, Alicia. I'll try to look up and see who all is on here. Okay, so I'm taking the 3D matte gel, and this is going to go ahead and give me some texture already. And I'm just applying it on. Not nice and neat. This roof already has so much texture on it, and I love that about it. It's just so much fun. These alterable items, you don't even really want to paint them because they already come with so much cool texture and stuff. Next month's class I'll be using the little kind of like TV frame from the Engel Blom one, the blue one, and that one, I don't know if I'm going to paint it or not because it's just so pretty. Okay. So I've got a layer of clear gesso and then just a nice clumped up layer of the 3D matte gel. Not being nice and even with it at all. Just clumping it on there. Okay, after that, you're going to take your paintbrush and you're going to put a layer of the platinum crackle. So first clear gesso, yep, now 3D matte gel. Yep, that's the first two steps. And then you're going to take your platinum crackle. If you don't have the platinum one, the clear one would work fine. Any kind of the crackles will work just fine. Haha, I'm famous. She said my name. Y'all are cracking me up. If I don't stop looking at the chat, I'm going to laugh too much and I won't be able to get this project done. Alright, so the mediums are still wet, but that's okay with me because we're really gunking this on like crazy. So it's not a big deal if you just don't let it dry in between coats. So I'm taking the platinum crackle paste now, the texture paint. I love this stuff. You can see how much I've used already. This stuff's amazing. So I'm using my paintbrush to apply a layer first. Just a nice thick layer. Okay. Oh, Courtney, I'm sorry you're having problems. I'm going to give this one quick heat set, and my heat tool is extremely loud. I apologize. Give me 1 second. Okay. Now I'm going to take a palette knife, if I can find where I placed it. And now we're going to really get some texture on here. We're going to go really big with the paste now because the bigger, the more you put on, the bigger the cracks you're going to get, okay? And if you don't prime it first and you try to do this technique, it's going to crumple off. So that was why I primed it first. You want to give something for this to stick to besides metal. So I am just taking my palette knife and just gunking it on, like literally, that's the most technical word I can come up with right now is gunk. I'm gunking it on here, y'all. I can even turn it y'all's way and look at the camera. So I'm just taking my palette knife, and I'm using it because the brush just kind of wants to do things nice and neat, and that is not what I want. I want it nice and clumpy. I want really big cracks. Okay. So I am just going on here and applying really thick amounts. Gunk it on. That's right, Carrie. I'm gunking this stuff on because it's just awesome. The bigger the cracks are, it just really looks amazing. And like I said, the reason I went ahead and prepped most of it was because it takes so long to dry this way. But be patient with it. I did mine and then came back to it the next day, and it was so worth it to let it naturally dry. When you heat set it, I mean, you still get crackles, but it's not the same. Okay. So hopefully y'all can see how thick that layer is. I mean, it is really thick. And then I'll go in some areas and do like an even thicker spot. Just put as much as you want. And then we're even going to do clear crackle on top of that. So we're going to really have a lot of texture. Okay, so let me get my toilet paper, not paper towels because I'm out, and wipe this off real quick. And while this is wet, we are going to go in with our micro beads and the mica flakes. You had the chipmunk show the other day. Yeah, I heard Adrian's Ustream, it was doing something funky on there. But then on the YouTube video I watched, everything sounded fine. So I think Ustream was just being crazy again. Okay, so I'm taking my mica flakes, and I'm just going to use a pair of tweezers. And let me actually move this out a little bit so I don't have to squeeze quite so close to the camera. Okay, so I'm just taking mica flakes a little bit at a time and just randomly placing them on there. This, basically, we're going to do so many layers. This might get covered up, but we're going to do more at the end. So we're doing lots and lots of layers of texture. And when it's all dry and the alcohol ink is on there, it's going to look really awesome. Right now, you're probably thinking that is a big hot mess, but at the end, it will look nice. And I love, love, love these mica flakes. Sometimes I'll take a scoopful and I'll crunch them up in my hand to make them a little bit smaller, just so I have a variation of size. But these bad boys are awesome. Okay, so I think that's all I'm going to put for now, because when it's all said and done and dry, I will add some more. So for now, I'm just going to add a little bit more up there. Okay, so that's it for the mica flakes for this moment. Yeah, Ustream gets a little weird sometimes. Okay, and I'm not wasting this beautiful butterfly paper, y'all. I'm merely using it to pour the micro beads back into the jar. Trust me, I do not waste my Prima paper. Okay, so that's with the mica flakes on it. And now I'm going to add some micro beads. I love these micro beads. They are just so awesome. And I'm going to be really generous with them. I don't want full coverage, but I'm just going in just different spots and adding the micro beads. And I'll take my finger and just kind of press down sometimes and spread them around how I want. And you'll get some on your fingers, but hey, that's all fine. Then I'm going to try to get this on the paper and not all over my desk, but I tend to have micro beads constantly all over my desk. So hopefully the camera will show the micro beads. They really stand out a lot more when it is all done and the alcohol ink is on there. Okay, so we are going to let that dry as much as it possibly can, and we are going to go on to all of our paper elements, and then hopefully, fingers crossed, when we come back to it, it'll be dry. If not, we'll give it a quick heat set, and that will be it. Okay, so I did a lot of fussy cutting for this. I used the beautiful, beautiful butterfly paper pad. For the sides of my birdhouse, I used the wood, and I used that out of the 6x6 paper pad just because it was the right size for me. So let me show you which page I'm talking about. It's this one right here. And all I'm doing is, and I already have the rest of mine prepped right here, but I just cut them all out, and I didn't use a paper cutter. I wanted kind of rough edges, so I just went through and cut all of my little pieces of wood out. I distressed them with the Prima Distress tool, of course, And then I'm going to ink the edges with branch bark. This is my go-to distress color. I just love, love, love it. So we're going to go ahead and get these nice and inked up on the edges. Whenever I see a paper line and I'm altering something, I try to just flip through it a couple times, and if there's things like this that I can incorporate, I absolutely love to do that. I mean, I just love that Prima paper has so many things that you can just cut out and use. The paper, this paper also has a floral sheet, which I fussy cut a bunch of elements out of. It's just so pretty. I'll show you all those in just a second. Okay, so I think that might be all we need left because I already did most of them. So I'm going to set those to the side and wait for that to dry. Okay, I also cut out some floral elements out of the paper, and I went ahead and did it ahead of time just because it does take such a long time. So I just went ahead and cut that out of the 6x6 piece, and I'm going to use the hydrangea chalk edger to ink my edges. A lot of people say that when they fussy cut, they cannot get it to look the way they want it to. Inking the edges of your fussy cutting is going to make the biggest difference in the world. It just makes it look so much better if you ink the edges. And even though these leaves are green, I'm still going to ink them with the purple. No big deal. These chalk edgers match perfectly with this collection. The colors I chose, I think it was hydrangea, branch bark, green moss, they all matched perfectly. Courtney, that is so funny. Somebody give her a step-by-step so she knows what's going on. Okay, so I got that cut out. Now we are going to cut out, and I went ahead and did a couple of little pieces too, and I will show you what we're going to do with those in a minute. And those are already inked up, so and I think I have one more baby one somewhere. Yep, one more little baby flower. So those are there. Now we have this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful butterfly image that I love so much. So that is going to be our next item to cut out. And whenever I have something that has a small area to fussy cut, like the edge of her body right there is really small, I go ahead and do that first while the paper is really big around it. Otherwise, it's really hard to hold on to the paper and cut that. I hope that makes sense. It's hard to explain. But any of the fine little detail areas, I try to go ahead and cut first before you take away the rest of the paper. That way you have something to hold on to. And I know on Bona's last show, she shared a lot of really good tips for fussy cutting. And pretty much what she does is what I do. I move the paper and not the scissors, if that makes sense. So now we have that little bitty area cut out, and we won't have to struggle with that in a minute. Okay, so now I'm just going to continue fussy cutting her body, and I'm going to show you a little trick to make her more dimensional. This paper is absolutely stunning, and you know, I've never been a huge fan of purple, but the purples in this collection are like just perfect. They're beautiful, muted, like pastel-y, and then like deeper purples. They're just, I love them. This makes me a fan of purple. Okay, and I am a slow fussy cutter. That's why I went ahead and did some of them ahead of time, because I am slow. Let me see if I cut this part out on her. Let me look real quick. Yep, I did. Okay. Sometimes I'll leave pieces off when I fussy cut. Fussy cutting, I love fussy cutting. I mean, there's a lot of people that just cannot stand to do it. I love it. Last night when I was watching TV, I sat there and got my scissors out and did fussy cutting, and then my dog ate and chewed on about half of the pieces I had cut out, so I had to cut out more, but he chews on everything. Nothing is safe with him. Okay, so, and if you'll notice on this part, I did leave it a lot wider than it really is, but we're going to ink that and it's going to look like it's all part of it. I mean, you just can't cut like thread thin pieces of paper and expect it not to fall apart. So what I'm going to do is take my branch bark and just go on that little area, and it's just going to make it look like it's still part of her body, and it stands out a lot better that way. Okay, so I'm going to ink the edges again, and then I'm going to show you how I got her wings to be a lot more dimensional. Always ink your edges. It's the only way I can get my fussy cutting to look decent. Okay, so these wings are beautiful as they are, but I really wanted to make them more dimensional. So what I did is I just went ahead and cut inward like so up to her arm, and then I'm going to take, that way you know you can move it apart like that, but then you're left with like this funky little looking piece right there. So all you're going to do is just go in and just kind of round that one out a little bit, and then you'll never know that it wasn't meant to be that way. So basically you're just creating a bigger gap in between there so that you can kind of move and curl these. So I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. Yeah, this is the Butterfly collection. All of Jody Lee's collections are so beautiful. The images that she finds, oh, I fall in love with them. They're so pretty. Fairy Belle, let's see, what are some of the other ones? I can't think. They're just all so gorgeous. All right, I'm going to ink the edges really good to give it that border that the rest of it has. Okay, and now that bad boy or bad girl has a lot more dimension. And I'm just going to curl her wings with the end of a brush. Just to give her some more dimension. And I will show you guys up close the difference. Just that little tip right there can really help out a lot. It's so weird when I'm trying to show things. I'll want to show you this way, but you have to do it that way, if that makes sense. Everything's the opposite, so sorry y'all if I do it the wrong way. Okay, so she's got plenty of dimension now. Okay, our next trick is making the paper feathers. These are super easy to do. I make my own dream catchers, so I've been into making my own little paper feathers for quite some time. I have a video tutorial on YouTube, but I'm going to go ahead and show y'all really quickly. And to do this, I usually just use some scrap paper. I don't want to use up like my good paper to do it. So I'll just take a piece of scrap if I can find it really quickly. This piece is kind of hacked into, but I don't want to cut that fairy lady. So I'm going to cut a piece right here. And I can cut 2 of the feather shapes out at one time just by folding it over in half. And then you can cut 2 out at the same time. Alright, so you're just going to cut a basic feather shape. Does not have to be perfect at all. There's a lot of dyes out right now that do feathers, and I'm going to definitely get my hands on one soon. But I really like to create my own feathers. Okay. So all I did was cut 2 shapes like that. Kind of like an elongated egg shape, I guess. Okay, so I'm going to ink the edges with the hydrangea one. And then we're going to use some of these stamps. Yes, this is the, I don't know if I mentioned, but the product number for the Butterfly collection, the 6x6 paper pad that I've been using, that number is 951221, and the main sheet I'm using from the 12x12 is the Butterfly one, and it's 951184. Sorry if I missed that. I'm sure Carrie probably is way ahead of me. Okay, so these are the gorgeous stamps that come with the Butterfly collection. You can see I've already been using a bunch of them, and that product number is, let me find it here, 655350, and all I'm using out of this is the feather one. Hopefully you can see that on camera. I've already inked it up to death. So you can either use brown ink, purple ink, whichever one you want to use. Buster, come here. My dog is back in the back messing with things. Sorry, I had to get him to stop. I'm afraid he's going to unplug something. Okay, so I'm just using the hydrangea ink, and I'm just going to stamp right on top of my little feather. And you can see this just barely if you use the hydrangea one, but if you use the brown ink, you'll see it a lot more. So hopefully you can see what that looks like. And then when we finish cutting it, it's just like this subtle little detail that adds just a little extra interest. Alright, for the next one, I'm going to use the branch bark. And you can see I don't even ever clean my stamps. I'm horrible about that. That one you can see a lot more, especially on this side. I just want both sides to look pretty because you can't, you know, I'm hanging these with a string, so they're going to kind of twirl around, and you want it to be able to look pretty from all angles. Okay, so that's what it looks like so far. And you could just fussy cut that out and have your own little feather just as is, but I tend to do this. I'll fold it in half, just like that. Okay, and then that gives me my middle crease right there. And then all I do is I take my scissors, and this is a little tedious. They do make fringe scissors that you could use, but I just start on one side. I'm going to cut at an angle going that way, and on the other side I'm going to cut in that way, just so it mimics a real feather. So one side I cut really slowly, but for some reason on the other side I can really cut it a lot faster. So you're just going in and doing really tiny little cuts. The smaller the better. The smaller space you have in between your cuts, the more realistic it looks. Okay. So here's what this side looks like so far. It's hard to tell until you spread it apart like that, and then you can kind of see what it is. And we'll ink that in just a minute too. Alright, so now I'm going to go on the next side. And just be careful to only cut to right before that crease, otherwise you're going to cut all the way across and ruin your pretty little feather. And I apologize if y'all hear any background noise. This room is not air conditioned, so I do have the fan on. If it's too loud, let me know and I'll cut it off. Okay, so that is one feather. Hopefully y'all can see what it looks like. Let me get it all feathered out. So that's what that one looks like. This one's with the purple stamp on it, and it's a lot more subtle. You can just barely tell. So I'm going to ink the edges really quickly, and I try to get in between the layers too, just because I want it to look nice and distressed. And then I also, the other day, I was experimenting with my watercolor pencils from Prima, and I got some really cool effects using those. Okay, so we've got two feathers. I used 3 on the other one, but I think I have an extra one laying around here. So let me grab my string. And this string was just regular white twine, and I just used that same hydrangea chalk edger to color it. And I just use hot glue. I figure out which side I want to show, and then I just use hot glue on the other side. And just use a very small amount because you don't want it to show. So I'm just putting a very, very, very little line of hot glue, and then I'm just sticking the string on top of that and just letting it dry. So then you can just feather this out. You can feather your feather out and you're good to go. Okay, what other paper elements do we need to get together? Okay, we're going to use one of the little Tim Holtz corked files to house a little butterfly. So I'm going to use this butterfly from the paper. I used a different one on the original box, on the original birdhouse, and I think the butterfly I used was from an older Prima Jody Lee line. I think it was from the Fairy Bell line. But of course, this line is full of beautiful butterflies. So again, I'm just fussy cutting it out. At first, I thought I was going to go crazy with the butterflies on this little birdhouse, but sometimes you have a vision in mind for a project, but as you go, it just kind of takes a different turn. Okay, so I've got my little butterfly fussy cut. Okay, so for the inside of the birdhouse, I'm lining the bottoms with this beautiful floral paper. And I already have one section adhered in there. Hopefully you can see. It's hard to show on camera, so I'm just lining the sides. Up here I painted it, so I'm not worried about adding paper there. So I'm just going to go ahead and add it to the bottom, and then on the other side. And I'm going to use Fabri-Tac real quick. You can use the 3D matte gel, whatever adhesive you are more comfortable with. And the measurement for inside of this was 1 3/4 by 5 for the bottom. Okay. Yes, Jody Lee makes this line. She does such a good job. I mean, I love all Prima papers. There's no particular designer I like more than the other. I think they are all absolutely amazing. Sometimes I feel like doing vintage, so I'll go with like a Frank Garcia one. Okay, so we've got the inside lined with the paper, and you're not going to see this top part. That's why I didn't really bother to line it with paper. You're not going to see it when it's all said and done. Okay, so last thing to fussy cut, I hope, is this bad boy, and this is really detailed, as you can see. So I'm going to go ahead and start fussy cutting that one, and then we will start adhering our elements in there. Okay, so I'm going to start with the bottoms, the stems first, just because they are a lot thinner than the rest of it, and it's going to be harder to hold on to it and cut it proper if I don't do it first. And like I said before, I cut it a little outside of the line because it's going to be too thin to really stand up on its own. You can mask a multitude of wrongs fussy cutting with a little bit of ink. Oh, thank you, Michelle. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. You're so sweet, girl. Okay. Whenever there's a new collection, I just look at it and immediately I can start thinking of ideas to do with it. Like, people always say, what do you get inspired from? Usually it's just the paper for me, and I'm sure it's the same way for a lot of us, especially Prima paper. I mean, come on. You can just look at that paper. There's a million ideas that come to mind. Alright, so I'm just fussy cutting these beautiful flowers out. I'm leaving out that leaf. Sometimes I leave out elements when I'm fussy cutting. No one will ever know. Unless I told you that, you would have never noticed. These flowers are just beautiful though. I used to be so afraid to fussy cut, but I absolutely love it now. Bona, she is amazing at fussy cutting too. She does some really intricate work, especially with those Julie nutting pieces she does. I can't believe I've kept my crafting area semi-clean today. I'm trying to look up and read what y'all are chatting about, but then I'll mess up and cut something off, so I better pay attention. So if I'm missing something, I am sorry, y'all. And it helps me a lot, like when I'm going this way, to just kind of cut the excess paper off, just kind of like that. Then you can get into the inner parts a lot easier. And for you people who can use a craft knife to fussy cut, oh my gosh, I just bow down to your greatness, because I am not good with a craft knife at all. Okay, so this piece is cut and done. Now we just have to ink it. So that is what it looks like before inking. And you know, we could get technical and get in here and get all these little extra white areas out, but I'm really not worried about it. Working on a Bloom Girl project using the Bella Rouge right now. Courtney, that will be beautiful. I haven't used the Bella Rouge yet, but that's coming up next. My poor dog is down here like, please pay attention to me. Sorry, buddy. So sorry. See, a lot of people say that using a craft knife is easier for them. I just can't do it. I don't have a steady hand. I don't know. I will say using this glass cutting mat has made it easier for me. Okay, let me see what we're forgetting. I'm going to punch my paper for the roof really quickly. Then other than that, we've just got to make our branches, and then it's all just adhering it in there. Okay, so, and we got to make our paper crown. How could I forget our beautiful paper crown? All right, I'm going to move these out of the way. I'm going to get my paper trimmer really quickly, and it is a big, heavy-duty trimmer. It's really big. I finally splurged one day and just got the big one. Okay, so I'm going to cut a piece of this paper at 1 1/4 inches. Okay. And then I'm going to use one of my Martha Stewart paper punches. That looks like that. And I usually punch the middle out first and then go along the sides. I love paper punches. I always prefer punches over dies. I'm just impatient when it comes to die cutting. I don't know. But we're fixing to use some dies. And I did just get some of the beautiful Prima dies. It's the first time getting my hands on them. Oh my goodness, they are so amazing. Cannot wait to use them. Okay. So, that is all I did, was cut this little piece here and get my excess off. And we are going to ink our edges using the hydrangea again. Just feel like if you don't ink the edges, it never looks like polished. It doesn't look complete. Oh yeah, Barbara, it does. It cuts through chipboard like nothing. It's awesome. I love it. I was gonna get, I think it was a Zutter one that was for chipboard specifically, but then I heard that it didn't cut paper well, so I ended up going with that one. And I usually ink both sides. Just a little weird habit of mine. Alright, we're going to make our branch elements now, and then while that is drying, we're going to do our little pretty crown. So let me move that out of the way. These are an older item from Prima. They are the little wooden branches. I absolutely love them though. I mean, does Prima ever go out of style? No. And this number is 556, 556. Do I happen to know what that punch is called? No, I don't, y'all. I am so sorry. I should have totally looked that up beforehand. When this is over, I'll Google it and I'll figure out the name of it and I'll post it on my Facebook. I've had all of my punches for so long, I just have not kept up with what the names are. I'm bad about doing that. Okay, so to do our little wooden embellishments, it's hard to tell inside of the birdhouse what I did to them, but all I'm going to do is use some clear crackle paste again. I have a ton of Martha Stewart punches, and I just don't remember what any of the names are. So I'm just going over this entire thing with the clear crackle. And I keep it on the, I glued it back onto the packaging. It just makes it easier for me to handle that way. So I'm just being very liberal because we're going to add mica flakes onto here, and I want to give them something to really adhere to. So just a really gunky, that's my word of the day, coat of clear crackle. Hopefully you can see that. Just really clumping it on there. You don't have that, you don't have Facebook. If you will write your email real quick, Marquez, I will try to send you an email and tell you which one it was. I apologize. Next time I'll make sure I figure out what I'm using. Sometimes I just pull things from my stash and I don't think about it. But of course, everybody, you got to know what I'm using so you can get your hands on it. I will tell you they sell it at Michael's if that helps. If you have a Michael's, they definitely sell it there. I love this clear crackle too, Mama Tiffy. It is just awesome. Okay, so I just put a really gunky, clumpy coat on there. Yep, the branches, 556, 556. That is the product number for them. And the clear crackle again, in case someone missed it the first time, it is 961541. All right, now I'm going to grab my mica flakes, if I can find them. There they are. And this time I'm just going to use my hands. And like I said earlier, I'm going to kind of crunch them up to make them a little bit smaller because some of them are just really large. So I'm going to make a little bit smaller pieces of mica flake, just like that. And just going to start loading it on here. Just using my fingers. And then I'll kind of spread it out when I'm done. Yes, Tiffany is going to be on live with Prima. I cannot wait, you guys. She is so amazing. Her mixed media is out of this world. It's like the most romantic. I just love her style. She does mixed media in a very romantic, shabby way that is just like, oh, it's beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. Tiffany is one of my favorites. And super sweet too. And her mini albums are amazing. Okay, so you can see I'm being very generous with these mica flakes. I am putting a ton of them on there. Okay, now I'll show you what it looks like before I kind of polish it off. Let me tap the excess off. Okay, so here's what they look like right now, but when it dries, I'm going to go in and cut around to where you can still see the shape of the branches and it's not like one big old gunky mess. So I'm just using my finger just to kind of press it in there. And we're going to go over this with alcohol ink too. If you guys didn't notice from the last show, I'm a big fan of alcohol ink. It's just something about it that I love. But of course your color bloom sprays would work wonderfully as well. And now Finn's got the new mica powders. Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Okay, so I'm going to let that dry. And now we're going to make our paper crown. And then from there, we are going to start adhering everything in there. We might go over maybe like 5-10 minutes. Seems to be my go-to. The punch is called Beaded Ruffle. It's Martha Stewart Beaded Ruffle Punch. Thank you, Miss Carrie. Beaded Ruffle, everybody. And it is one of my most used punches. It's just, it's amazing. I love it. All right, let me grab my big shot really quickly. Big kick, I mean. All right, so to make this crown, I'm just going to use one sheet of paper, and I'm going to cut it at, I think it was 2 inches. Let me use my ruler really quickly. It's so easy to create these little crowns. Yep, 2 inches. So I'm going to get my paper trimmer. And I'm going to cut it off camera real quick, but I'm just cutting it at 2 inches, y'all. Cutting the same paper at 2 inches. Let me grab my floral paper really quickly. Okay. So once you have it cut at 2 inches, to get it to cut something that is 12 inches, because you know most of these dies, this is one of the Tim Holtz Alterations ones. It's the scroll work. That's the name of this one. It's only 6 inches. So to get it to cut a whole 12 inches, it's so easy. You just fold it in half. And then it also gives you this really cool center point right here where you're folding it. And that's where the center of your crown, the focal point of your crown will be. Okay, so I'm just gonna line it up on here, right on the edge. You can use a piece of washi tape to make sure it stays in place, but I just do it really carefully. Make sure I got it on there right. All right, just placing my die down. Just running it through my big kick. Oh, I'm sorry, your computer just crashed, scrapping corner. Yep, Tim Holtz scroll work. It's one of the on the edge dies. I have that one and the Townscape one. I love those on the edge dies. They're some of my favorites. Okay, I ran it through 3 times. Another weird habit of mine. I'm OCD about numbers. If my boyfriend was here right now, he could tell y'all. It's so weird. Like if I bump my elbow, sometimes I have to bump it 3 times or I feel off balance. So 3 is a number for me. When you get that out of there, you're going to have these little edges that aren't completely die cut. So I just follow the curvature of it with my scissors and just go ahead and finish cutting it. Just like that. And same thing on that side. Okay, so there is our crown. That easy. All you have to do now is make it round. That was really easy. And every time you do this, you'll get a unique center mark. So you can either use that as your center mark, or when we wrap it around, you can end up using this side as your center mark. It's kind of up to you. So the first thing I do is I usually take like a bottle of some sort, just kind of wrap it around one time to give it a good round shape. Okay. Easy peasy. Now, I'm just going to adhere right here, these 2 pieces together, and we're going to put an embellishment there that's going to completely cover that up so you will not see those seams. And I'm going to go with hot glue because it is my favorite adhesive for paper. Super quick. I'm just adhering it together, holding it for just a minute. Oh, I should have inked the edges first, but we can still do so. Okay, so you're going to have a funky little shape to it for a minute. See how it's kind of like weird looking? You just got to round it out. Just keep playing with it until it gets completely rounded out. In fact, I can even cut this right here and then glue it too. And you'll never know that it was cut. And that'll help get rid of that weird fold crease that we had. And then you can choose which side you like better to be your center. Okay, now we've got like a perfect little circular crown. That easy. You can, I mean, I'm sure all of us have tons of dies in our stash that would work perfect for this. I love this scroll work one just because it looks so fancy. It's almost like little filigree edges. Just inking again with the hydrangea chalk edger. Okay. Okay, now we are going to embellish our pretty little crown. Yes, paper is very forgiving and manipulative. I love that you can just, you know, do anything with it. There's one lady, I think Marilyn Rivera, she does amazing things with paper. So this is the Chipboards and More that comes, it's part of the Butterfly collection that you can get. It's got the beautiful feathers too. If those were smaller, I would have totally used them. The product number is 579081, and I'm going to use a few different chipboard elements out of it. And try not to make them fall everywhere in the process. Okay, So for the other one, I used the memories. So I'm going to get that one out. And all I'm going to do, oh, I'm going to go ahead and grab my other one that we need for the birdhouse top. We will ink that one too. I'm going to ink the edges real quick. And these are self-adhesive. They have a peel-off back, so that makes it really handy. And even though it's chipboard, you can definitely get this to bend. You can manipulate this too. Okay, I went ahead and inked the one for the birdhouse too. All right, I'm just using my fingers to kind of push it like that and round it. You can kind of feel it breaking a little bit, if that makes sense. And then you just got it nice and rounded. So let me figure out which piece is going to be my front. I think I like that part right there for my front. So I'm going to remove the adhesive backing and adhere it on there. Just like that. So that is what it looks like so far. And I took some white flat back pearls, and I'm going to use hot glue to adhere it all the way around. I love using hot glue. It's just super quick. You don't have to wait for it to dry. And then if you ever just make a crucial mistake with it, you can always heat it up. I have another project coming out soon where I made a set of paper crowns using all different dies, so I can't wait to share that with y'all. And some are big, some are little, all different sizes. Just going to cut that little part right there. Done. I'm going to add my butterfly embellishment. These are the Evil Balm Shabby Chic Treasures. Let me find the product number for that one. That is 579142. For this crown, I used this one. And in this pack, there comes a couple of different ones. So I'm going to be using a different one on this one. It's a little bit smaller, but no big deal. So again, I'm just going to use hot glue to adhere it on there. And I'm putting it right above our little memories chipboard. Just like so. Okay, and now I'm going to add one of the beautiful, beautiful, beautiful brads from the Butterfly collection. They are gorgeous. The product number for these is 579326. I am so in love with these brads, it is not even funny. So I'm going to use the butterfly one, since it's a butterfly. I don't remember what I used on the other one, but we're going to use the butterfly for this one. And I usually cut the backs off with my Tim Holtz scissors. So that's the one we're using. Super pretty. I love these. Let me grab another glue stick because I am out of hot glue. Alright, I'm just going to use hot glue again. Put a little bit in the center of that butterfly. And add our pretty little brad. And our little paper crown is completely done. Super easy. You can make these larger too. Okay, so now it is time to start adding everything to our birdhouse. So, our roof is not completely dry, but that's okay. We're going to go ahead and add the rest of our wood pieces to the side. So this piece is almost done, or that side is done, and this one is not quite done. So we've got about 4 or 5 more to add on there. I'm just going to put it on its side and prop it up with something. There we go. So I usually just hold it up here. Let me kind of turn it y'all's way. And just bend it to get my little crease mark. Okay. I never measure anything. I usually just hold it up there and cut my creases. Okay. Again, I'm going to be using Fabri-Tac to adhere this. If you want to get real fancy with this wood grain, you could go in with like some brads and make it look like it was nail holes, but I didn't go all out like that. It looks beautiful as it is, so I just left it like that. Okay, taking my next one. And this is really quick to do, y'all. I'm just stacking each one on top of each other. And I did prime this metal too. I primed this entire birdhouse before I did anything to it with clear gesso. That just makes everything so much easier to stick to it. It gives it something to tack to, because metal is, you know, non-porous, so everything will stick better with a little coat of clear gesso. All right, I think 2 more will do the trick. What are y'all counting? Catching up on the chat. What is a control thing? I have to look up. People count. They do things in series. Are y'all talking about my OCD thing or what? What are y'all talking about with the counting? Okay. We have one more piece to adhere. But as you can see, here on the bottom front, we need a piece here. So I'm going to adhere a piece here first, and then I'll continue on this side. We'll probably have to overlap a little piece. Just making sure it's nice and adhered well. Okay, so I'm going to adhere this front one. And it is a little bit larger than the actual lip is, but that's okay. You'll never notice. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere that one. Initially, I was going to use real branch bark to make this little birdhouse. But when I flipped through the paper, I was like, oh no, she already put this beautiful wood grain pattern. Got to use it. You got to use your papers. Prima gives it to you, you got to use it. Okay, so we've got our front piece adhered on there. Let me show you after I get it rubbed on there. Just make sure you press it on there really good. Okay, so now all we got to do is add one more piece right here to cover that. And we might overlap another one a little bit, no big deal. Okay. Let me just straighten that out really quickly, y'all. My OCD is kicking in. Can't stand uneven lines. Okay, last one for the outside. And then we get to add our lovely alcohol inks to the roof. I might have to heat set it just a little bit. Actually, we might go ahead and just adhere the elements inside first. Give it a little bit more drying time. Okay, so we are completely covered with wood. I didn't do the back of it because once we get all of our elements inside, you're not going to see it. So we're not going to waste our beautiful Prima paper if you're not going to see it. Make sure it's adhered on there good. Okay, so for the eave of the roof, I'm going to add this beautiful little punched piece of paper. So I need to get an angle here, so what I do is just hold it up and use my fingernail to give me my edge. Actually, I can use this pair of scissors and it'll do it better. This will give me the right angle that I need to cut the paper. Okay, so then that fits in there perfectly. All right. Okay, so that's going to be one side of it. That's that beautiful Martha Stewart punch. It really looks elegant on there. So now I'm going to do the other side. And again, I'm going to have to use my scissors to get my angle. And a lot of this is going to be covered up too, so. Okay, so that is the outside of our box so far, our birdhouse. I keep calling it a box. Okay, time to go to the inside. It's going to be a little hard for me to adhere this and still show y'all, so I might have to flip it around and then I'll turn it back to the camera for y'all, okay? So first up, I'm going to take my branches here and take them off of the packaging. And they're not all the way dry, but that's okay. That's the hardest part about doing live shows, is trying to get everything to dry in time. Okay. And get my toilet paper again. I'm out of paper towels over here. Okay, so all I'm going to do is take my scissors and kind of make sure all of the branches showing and the mica flakes haven't kind of taken away the form. So you're going to be cutting a little bit off here and there. But I just think this looks so incredibly pretty. Welcome back, Heather. Probably shouldn't be using my really good fussy cutting scissors for this, but hey. Okay, so that is what it looks like so far. When we alcohol ink it, it will fill in any missing parts that aren't covered up. This one's pretty good. I don't have to do too much over here. This one got skimped on the mica flakes a little bit. Okay, so before we add all of our elements inside, we are going to finish our roof. That's the fun part. So let me heat set this other side really quickly, because you can see, I mean, we've been on here for an hour now and it's still not dry. So let me heat set it really quickly. And if you hold it on there too long, it starts bubbling. This is the heavy-duty heater right here. It's not made for scrapbooking. I stole it from my honey's shop. Okay, that's going to have to do because we have got to get the show on the road. So, we are going to go with our alcohol inks. And I'm going to grab my spray bottle. We'll do the little branches first. Okay. It's a paint stripper. That's exactly what it is, Scrapping Corner. And it heats things up so quickly. I love it. Like, as soon as I used it, what happened is my embossing tool broke one time, and I needed something until I could get to the store and get one, and Chris gave me that. So I never went back to a regular one because that just works so much quicker. It will burn you like crazy. I mean, that thing gets so hot that it literally melts itself. So you got to be careful with it. Okay, so as soon as this dries, we will adhere those in. Hopefully you can see what it looks like now. I mean, it just looks super, super pretty. Okay, all right, we'll set those to the side. And now we're going to start on the roof. So I'll start on the dry side, that way we're not worried about too much. Okay, so I always spritz with water first when I'm using alcohol ink, just because it helps give it some movement. And I go with my lighter shade first. And I literally just start dropping it on there, no rhyme or reason. And the reason I prime my paper too is because if it drops on there, you can kind of wipe it off. So just kind of get the excess off with your toilet paper, whatever you're using. Paper towel would be ideal. So I'm literally just going on here and dropping it like crazy. I bet some of the Color Bloom colors would look absolutely gorgeous with this method. So that's what it's looking like so far. I'm going to go on the edge here with my alcohol ink because I don't want to just drop it. It'll get my paper colored too, and I don't want that. Who is so brave, Tiffany? If you're saying me for the alcohol ink, thank you. Alright, so I'm just dropping it along the edge because I am so afraid. Yes, and it dries super, super, super quick. That's what I love about alcohol ink. So, that's the lighter color. Then we're going to go in with our darker one. Do one more squirt of water. Blot all the excess off. And if some does get down here on your paper, no big deal. It's going to look awesome. I mean, we're going for like a rusted look here, so. Of course, the wood could be rusty too, right? And yes, this is water I'm using here, just plain old water. And I'm just squirting it on top. It really makes the alcohol ink move. Just plain water. I have the alcohol ink blending solution. That might do some fun effects, but for me, it's just plain water. All right, I'm gonna start adding it to the little birdie too. And that's the great thing about alcohol ink is if you get too much, you can just spray it with water. And as long as you have primed your surface, you're good to go. That's what I love about clear gesso is it makes it, you know, non-porous, so you can kind of rub it off. The alcohol ink colors are caramel. And this one is latte. I've used the metallic ones too. They look awesome. I also have a rust colored one I use, but for this one, those are the two I used. Any of the brown alcohol inks will pretty much work for this though. So just drop it on there. Be brave. Don't even worry about where it goes. Just drop it and spray. If some of your little rusty color gets down there on your wood, no big deal. Caramel and latte. You would have a bunch of toilet paper under the house first. That sounds so funny. This mat I have is, it's glass, so I don't have to worry about it staining. That's why I use this lovely mat. But the way this alcohol ink looks on those micro beads is just so incredibly pretty, y'all. I love the effect it gives. So you're just going to keep on inking until you're happy with it. See, some got right down there on my little wood, but you know what? I primed it, so it should wipe right off. If not, okay, no big deal. We're going for an old rusty look here, so. Okay, so hopefully you guys can see. I'll hold it really still, so hopefully the camera will pick it up. The mica flakes and everything. I mean, it looks really, really cool. Okay. Now we are 10 minutes over, so I'm going to start adding all of my elements in as quickly as I possibly can. Maybe 10 more minutes, y'all, so bear with me, okay? I always run over. I guess it's just my tradition. Have to break that tradition next time. Thank y'all for bearing with me. Okay, so now we're going to start adding all of our paper elements inside. I'll do a quick heat set real quick, just so it's not dripping anymore. And with my original one, I did go back in with more clear crackle at the end of it. I mean, you can literally just keep going over and over and over with this and just get some really awesome effects. So I'm going to add a little bit more there just because it kind of needed it. But that is pretty much it for the roof. So lots and lots of layers of texture and then the alcohol inks. And that is what you end up with. Okay, so now let's get our elements inside of here adhered. So the first thing we're going to do is adhere our little branches. So in order to get them to fit how I wanted, I kind of held them in here, figured out the angle I wanted, and then I'm going to cut the edge of this completely flat because I want to adhere it flat. Like I want to glue it and I need it to be flat to be able to do so, okay? So I'm just going to give myself a nice flat edge to adhere. Bye, Tiffy. I'm so sorry that I went over, babe. Thank you so much for being here. Okay, I'm going to adhere this in here, and then I will show you guys what it looks like. It's kind of hard to show the inside of the house as I'm adhering items, so I'll just have to keep showing y'all. All right, so I'm holding it in place until the glue dries. Tiffy, I can't wait for your show too if you're still on here. I will be there. Alright, just waiting on my glue to dry. And as usual, I'm using a combination of Fabri-Tac and hot glue. Okay. Now I'm going to do the same thing to the other one. Figure out my placement. And I kind of want one going upward, one going downward. So you can just kind of play around with how it's going to go. Cut myself a nice flat edge again. Aw, take Abby outside, Tiffy. She's so adorable. Let me cut it at a different angle. Sorry, y'all. 1 second. That angle was not working for me. There we go. Alright, so I'm just holding it in place until the glue dries. Okay, so our little branches are inside of there now. Hopefully you can see that. Okay, now it's time for our fussy cut elements. So our beautiful little fairy girl, I'm going to go ahead and grab my other one so I can see how I placed everything. I'm just going to use the tip of this wing to glue her inside of here, just like so. And this punch, I forgot to say, I always kind of like bend the beaded section up just so you can kind of see inside more. So just kind of bend that upward. And then I'm just going to use the very tip of her wing to adhere her inside of there. And I'm going to use hot glue because it dries so quickly. And she's going right over here on the right side of it. And she's dry already. So she is in there now. I had her front and center and I want her little tail to kind of come out. So there she is. And you can bend her any way you want now. You can make her little wings fold, get her all dimensional looking. Okay. Now I'm going to add some of my fussy cut elements. This beautiful floral piece, I'm going to kind of bend one flower. Let me see exactly how I want it to fit in here. Let me kind of play around with it. Okay, what I usually do is I'll bend the edge of two of my flowers, and that is what I use to glue it to the side of my birdhouse. That way it kind of looks like it's coming out of the wall. So I'm going to use hot glue again. And I'm going to go in from the back side and adhere that. That way it's easier for me. And then hopefully y'all can see on the front there what it's looking like. I'm just going to hold it until the glue dries. So we have that nice floral spray in the background now. Yes, she is floating. I love to make things float. Sometimes I use wire, anything I can. Okay, so now front and center, right under the fairy, we're going to give her a little magical garden to sit in. So let me I usually kind of bend things, ruffle them up, just to kind of make them look a little more realistic, a little bit of dimension. So I'm going to have some of the stems inside, some out, just like that. And I haven't even glued it yet, and it's already just staying that way. So literally all I'm going to do is just add one little dot of hot glue there to make it stay. Okay, and that bad boy is not going anywhere. So now she's got a little garden to sit in. Okay, next item is we're going to do our little roof area up here real quick. So I used the memory hardware. This is the Marcelli. Make fun of me, Frank. You know I don't know how to pronounce it, but the number is 990299. So I'm just using that to go right up here. I'm going to use Fabri-Tac and hot glue as usual. And I am so sorry we are 15 minutes over, y'all, but we will be done within the next 10. Promise. Scout's honor. Okay. So we're just going to adhere it right there. Just going to wait for that hot glue to grab. Thank you, Carrie. Okay, and that beautiful chipboard piece, that is kind of like one of my focal points. It says, flowers speak a language which we yet may learn, a divination of mysterious might. I just love it. And since it was rounded like the memory hardware, it's going to go on there. So I'm just going to stick it right there like that. And I'm just going to use hot glue for that. Just put a dot right there. And a dot right there. And stick that right there. My fingers are so immune to hot glue. Sometimes people are like, oh my gosh, you're burning yourself. I never feel it. I mean, it's probably terrible. I probably have no fingerprints whatsoever. Okay. So we have that on there. Now we're going to go back to our beautiful brads, which again, that number is 579326. You can use any ones you want. I like the little purple ones. They are so pretty. Let me hold that up so y'all can see what it looks like so far. And again, I'm using my Timmy scissors for something that they're probably not supposed to be used for. And for time purposes, I'm going to take a risk and do metal to metal with hot glue. It's usually a no-no in my book, but I can always fix this later. I would definitely use like a gel medium. Finnabair's soft gel is awesome for gluing metal to metal. Fabri-Tac works, E6000, anything you want to use. Okay, so I got that there. Now let me get my little mat cleared off. I've got stuff everywhere. Okay, and you can see how your little crown now can just rest on top of there, but we're not going to put that on yet. All right, so now it's time for our beautiful little handmade feathers. So I'm using one of the memory hardware. These are the Vincentese metal poles. Totally laugh at me because I know I'm not pronouncing it right. Oh, thank you, Michelle. Okay, no more apologies. I am late and that is it. So sorry. Okay, the number for this is, let me look it up because I accidentally cut it off of there. These are 990343. And I absolutely love these. These are amazing. Let me make sure that my house is dry enough to adhere it. And it should be. Because if it's not going to stick on there. Okay, so I'm going to use a good Fabri-Tac. This is like the best adhesive, but I swear it gets so gooped up. I love all my technical terms today. Gooped, clumped. Okay, and I'm just adhering it right on the side here. You have to put it on one of the raised parts because this roof has this amazing texture. Yeah, all of the memory hardware is just amazing. I just love it. Of course, I'm a metal fanatic, so, you know, totally love it. Okay, so that's going to go right there like that. And then we're just going to tie our little feathers on there. And I like to do one longer than the other. So I'm going to tie one here. Okay. That's a little too long. Scratch that. Let me fix that, y'all. This thread is waxed, so it's really hard to kind of manipulate. Okay, so here's this one. And like I said, it will kind of like flip around and go different ways. That's why I like both sides of it to be finished. And then we'll do this one shorter. And I have a third one around here somewhere, but if I can't find it, we're just going to go with 2 for today. No biggie. And you know what? I'm not even going to tie that one. I'm going to use hot glue to glue it to the other side. Totally going to cheat. I'm allowed to cheat, you guys. Courtney, I'm going to have to see this bloom layout that everyone is saying. Okay, so we've got our little feathers attached. We should have a third one, but we might not today. No biggie. Let me get it adjusted on this side. Okay, so we got our little feathers over there. Now all we have left are a few flowers in our little butterfly in a corked vial. All right, this is a beautiful little piece from, let me see here. Oh, tell me I have this one down. Okay, Carrie, you're going to have to help me with that. Let me look real quick and see if I can get a product number for y'all. Aha, I did find it. Okay, it's 579791. It's the metal trinkets. It comes with like a frame and a couple of different little elements. And I just absolutely love this piece. So that's going to go right here on the bottom. Going to use my Fabri-Tac if I can get it out. I guess I better put my feet on here too, otherwise this bad boy is not going to sit down anymore. Alright, let me hold that there while I grab my feet. And the feet I'm using are from Graphic 45. They're the new claw feet. You could use the Tim Holtz feet. You could use whichever ones you want. I just think feet adds such like a finishing touch that's just perfect. So Fabri-Tac on the bottom, and then I'm putting hot glue in the corner. Just adding my little claw feet on there. Hello, Delana. Did you disappear on us? I haven't been able to keep up with the chat enough. Let me put that there while I grab my feet. Sometimes I don't realize what I'm saying. I guess it doesn't sound quite right. That's okay. I literally had a lady message me after the last Hue stream, and she was like, I really, really loved your video, but who were you talking to? I think she thought I was just talking to myself. So I had to tell her about the chat. I was like, no, I'm not talking to myself, I promise. Bye. Have a good dinner. What time is it there for you? It's lunchtime here. We have dinner so late though. Alright, getting my last foot on there. No problem. Thank you for stopping by, sweetie. I love feet. I think that Prima, that's what I'm going to say. Prima needs to come out with some feet because you know how amazing they would be. I mean, come on, everything Prima does is flawless, so some feet would be fabulous. Okay, a couple things left to do. I'm going to add a few little flowers here and there. I just like to have them peeking out. So I'm going to have some kind of peeking out right there. I'm going to cut this one off real quick, just because it is not working for me. Okay, so I'm going to tuck one in right there. Just a little fussy cut flower. Sometimes you don't even have to glue things. They literally just like tuck right in perfectly. And that is sticking right to that adhesive chipboard. So that piece is good to go. I'm also going to tuck some more. Where's my other little baby flower? I had one. I know I did. There it is. Okay. I'm going to put my beautiful flower. I've got 2 flowers on this project. Can you believe it? Only 2. And I used one from the Tatiana collection and one from the Butterfly collection. These are the Butterfly Chorion flowers, 580629. I'm obsessed with them. And then this is from the Tatiana Oceana flowers, and it is 566371. So right over here in the corner, we're going to add one little Tatiana flower. It's amazing. The last 2 projects I've done, surprisingly, did not have a lot of flowers, which is just totally bizarre, right? I mean, we're doing a Prima project here. All right, so I'm just tucking it right there on the corner. And I usually don't like leaves, Carrie. I know you're going to be like, what? Because you love your leaves, but I typically don't. But I love the leaves on this one. And then I'm going to tuck a little fussy cut flower right there too, just for some added detail. All right, so we've got our corked file left to do. I think that's it. Now I can't find it. Let me look around here and see what I did with it. If you could just see my messy, messy area right now, you would crack up. Let me also add one more brad to the center of that piece. I don't know about y'all, but I craft myself into this little like 1-inch space out of this huge table. It's just so sad. Okay, I'm gonna add a brad right here in the center of that little metal piece, the metal trinket, just for some added bling and just to give a little bit of a different color. Okay, I cannot find my corked file, so I'm going to grab another one because I have about a gazillion of them. So, be right back. Oh, never mind, it was right on the floor. Haha, never mind, joke. Okay, so to get my butterfly in there, all I'm going to do, let me make sure it fits. Yep, I'm just going to add a little bit of Fabri-Tac on the edge of one wing, and I mean just like a tiny amount. Just a tiny bit of Fabri-Tac. Camera, come here. On one edge, and then a little bit of hot glue on the other one, and slide it right in there. Hard to show this. Hold on, y'all. Let me kind of push it. Sometimes you kind of have to just work with what you have, and I'll push my little paintbrush in there, whatever works. Alright, it's not cooperating. There we go. Okay, so we've got our little trapped butterfly in there. Hopefully that glare is pretty bad, but hopefully you can see. Okay, so I'm going to put that there and just adhere it inside of here. And I'm going to put it right beside that Tatiana flower. Just make sure the butterfly is showing outward and you don't have it backwards. Then we're going to put our little butterfly Chorion flower here. Carrie, I know you love leaves. I heard Frank say that he saves you his leaves and sends them to you like once a year. And I thought, I'm going to do that because I never use my leaves. Alright, y'all, I just tucked that little flower right beside my corked vial. Hopefully you can see it. It's kind of hard to see in these, any 3D project. Alright, let's put our little crown on top of the corked vial. This is an Arctic Cake charm set. It was a discontinued one. Oh goodness, I don't know the name, y'all, because it was just an old discontinued one and they were all on clearance, so I grabbed them up because I love to use crowns on things. So I'm literally just adding it right on top of my little corked vial. And you know what, guys? I think that is it. Let me take a double look, make sure I'm not forgetting anything. Oh, yep, one thing. Forgetting one thing, and then we are done. And I did find my other little feather over there, but you know what? We're going with 2. We're rocking 2 on this one. Okay, so these are the Chipboard crystals for the butterfly collection, and they are so pretty, y'all. They're just like little mini flowers. I absolutely adore them. Item number is 579388, and all I'm going to do is add a couple to the tops of the feathers. And they are adhesive, but I'm going to add a little dot more just to be safe. And I am just adding them right there at the top of that feather. Just because it looks pretty. That's why. That's all. And the other one as well. You could use different colors if you wanted to. And you can see how that feather, you've got a stamped feather on your own handmade paper feather. Alright, you guys, so you add your little crown to this, and you are good to go. And then, of course, you have glue strings everywhere if you're like me. So, I'm going to pan up a little bit. Yep, butterfly, Chipboard crystals. Beautiful, beautiful. 579388. They're so pretty. So that is what you are left with, you guys. Your beautiful little butterfly home. Now, of course, you know, there's still some fine detailing to add to it. A little bit more color, a little bit more crackle paste if you want, but you know, it all just depends on how much you want to add. So this is the gist of it. I really, really, really hope you guys like it. Yes, Kat, they are all listed on the blog. Hopefully y'all can see some of that texture. The mica flakes and the microbeads are just amazing, and they take that alcohol ink so well. So thank you all so much for sticking in here with me, and I'm very glad you like it. If you have any questions, let me know. I will go ahead and stop the recording now. Thanks Prima for making such amazing products for all of us to use. I, for one, am very grateful. And I'm very grateful for all of y'all for coming out and supporting me. Hope you had a beautiful day, and I will see you guys next month with a new project. So, okay, bye everybody. Have a great day. You're so welcome. Thank you guys for sticking in here with me. You guys are amazing. Okay, bye y'all. Thank you, Michelle. Love you, girl.